Welcome back to Everlasting Summer, part I don't even know anymore. Let's continue on with our meeting with Slavia. After the hike, I think it was, right? Oh wait, almost forgot the choice, we want that. The guide, that's what I want. There we go. Okay, I got the guide. It didn't take that long. I had it open, I just didn't have it up. Alright. Yeah, I did. I sat down on the sand and stared at the river. You didn't like the hike, did you? No, it's not that. I just wanted to be alone for some time. And I've interrupted you. No, not really. It's not like you at all. What are you talking about? Well, to leave like that. Well, I'm not a robot that can only act accordingly to a predefined program. She laughed. Yeah, that's right. I was still puzzled, and my fatigue was becoming stronger and stronger. My mind was absolutely blank. To be precise, it was so heavy and full that not even a single idea would have the chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway full of speeding thoughts overtaking each other and causing giant chaotic crashes, then now it's nothing but a forgotten tiny path in a distant desolate forest, which is only used in times of absolute necessity. So I said the first thing that crossed my mind. Don't you think it's all pretty strange here? Strange? Everything that happens here. It's the ideal model of a pioneer camp. Of course, it's not like I know a lot about them, but it looks exactly like I imagined it. What are you talking about? Slavia glanced at me perplexedly. Did you ever feel that you're not where you belong? I don't know. More precisely, not where you are meant to be at all. As if thousands of kilometers away from home, or even in another galaxy. I don't understand you. We're similar in this. I lay down on my back and looked at the stars. And what would you think if I told you that I'm an alien from the future? Are you? She asked Slavia in dead earnest. Well, let's assume I am. How should I return to my time? Do you really want to? Yeah, all the conversations with her that have to do with my situation, even the slightest hints of it, always ends up at the same place. It's like she's offering me a chance to stay. Almost insisting on it. Well, let's say that I'm not sure. There, as we would call it, everything is like home to me. Or rather, more familiar. Practically everything is known to me, and I'm prepared for any situation. And here it's the other way around. Literally every little thing comes as a surprise, and everything's different. Is it really that bad? I wouldn't call it bad. Unfamiliar. Unclear. Sometimes it can be hard to change something, especially for people with my personality. But what do you really want? To start with, I can't answer that question until I find out exactly where here is. Then go and find out. If only it was that easy. But what's so difficult about it? Everything's difficult. I don't even know where to start. And I'm constantly being distracted. You're talking about it so seriously, it's almost like it's all real. She's turned British. She laughed. Who knows? A pretty long silence followed. Suddenly, Slavia sneezed. Bless you. Thanks. Wasn't a good idea to swim at night. You can get ill. Hurry to your cabin, it's cold out here. It's nothing. I'd rather sit here with you a bit more. No, just let me dress. Well, I was certainly flattered, but... Let's go. I'll walk you. But we didn't even walk a dozen steps before Slavia grasped my arm. What's the matter? Oh, I suddenly felt dizzy. I touched her forehead. It was burning. I was never able to measure body temperature by touch, but in this case it was obvious. I told you. Achoo! Come on, come on. No. No, I could infect Xenia. Listen, we'd better go to the infirmary. And what would you do in the infirmary at night alone? That's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. If you don't want to help, I'll go by myself. She let go of my hand and was ready to leave. Don't get upset. Put this on, it's cold. I handed her my sweater, which I'd brought with me on the hike. Finally found some use for it. Good boy. Thanks. She pulled the sweater on and gave me such a tender and caring look that I just couldn't argue with her anymore. This was arguing? This was arguing. Whatever. Okay, fine. The infirmary it is, as you say. 5 minutes later, we were standing by the infirmary door and Slavia was picking out the right key. This place looks creepy at night. I still considered this idea quite foolish. Nobody ever died from the common cold. At least not in the past century. I couldn't see any good reason. No one was reported to have died. I couldn't see any good reason to spend the night in the infirmary. I just noticed eyes sticking out, like an owl with glowing eyes sticking out from the front of the doorsteps there. Finally, Slavia opened the door and leaned on my arm. I'm still a bit dizzy, she said guiltily. Slavia landed on the bed, and I sat on the chair nearby. Still, listen, alone for the whole night in the infirmary. After all, at least Xenia could get you a glass of water if you needed one. She wouldn't catch the illness. She's young and strong. It's all right. I don't want to bother anyone, and the nurse will come tomorrow. I suddenly imagined myself in Slavia's place, imagined that I had to spend the whole night here, alone. And shivers ran down my spine. Listen, maybe I can stay with you for a while. I owed a lot to Slavia. And in fact, I didn't even want to leave. What for? Everything will be fine. Thanks for walking me over. You should go and get some sleep. I still think it's fine. For a moment I thought, of course, nothing terrible will happen to her here, but I myself would feel more relaxed if I stayed with her. I think... Oh, come on, Slavia cried out as if offended. You won't throw me out, will you? You won't throw me out, will you? I smiled slyly. Alright, but if you get infected, you only have yourself to blame. I was happy with my little victory. Okay then, what should we do? There should be some playing cards in the chest. Dirac? In fact, I didn't know any other games except that one and poker. And the one you played earlier today. Not today. Earlier that other day. I don't even remember how long ago that was, like 3 episodes ago. The card game. Okay. We spent a lot of time playing. I completely lost the track of time. We chatted, laughed a lot. Slavia didn't seem ill at all. Then midnight came. Time to sleep. Probably. But where are you going to go? She gazed at me. Come on. You shouldn't be sitting in here with me. I can do it anyway. At the moment, I could even fall asleep standing up. Slavia watched me for some time, then drew the curtain and said, Good night. Night. Did it? I fell asleep in there, okay. I lowered my head on my arms and fell asleep in an instant. Despite being exhausted, I slept uneasily. It was more of a slumber. Isn't it the same thing? My awareness kept leaving me and returning again. The best possible state for dreaming something psychedelic. Bus number 410 drove past the room. It was snowing from the ceiling, and my computer's monitor suddenly rose from the middle of the table. Wallpaper blended through the walls, rubbish piles rose through the floor, and my old bed materialized in the corner. I was in my old flat again. The scenery changed to that of my hometown. It was like I was running through endless hordes of people, bustling in and out. And then darkness fell on me. Primal, universal darkness. Okay then. I jumped up in terror. I was sweating like a river. Slavia was looking at me worriedly from the bed. Just a bad dream. I attempted to smile. You were screaming. Screaming what? I don't know. It was incomprehensible. The clock only displayed 0:30 to 12:30. Wow. Semyon. Huh? I'm freezing. Slavia was rubbing the arms of her sweater, shivering. Hang on, I'll find a blanket. I searched through one cabinet after other, swearing to myself about how the damn infirmary had nothing to cover up the patients. Sorry, there's nothing here. Wait, I'll run and fetch you something. You don't have to. That's what I was thinking. But Semyon is oblivious. You can't flirt with this guy. You just can't. Would you just lie here with me? It'll be much warmer. She was absolutely serious. Sorry, that's just me slamming my head on the table for the fact that... How? Just how? I get it's a game. But no one could ever be this oblivious. Her voice sounded so piteous that for a second I was left breathless. Are you sure that it is okay? So it's not? She asked, blushing. No, why? I slowly took off my shoes and lay on the very edge of the couch. Bed. Trying to occupy as little space as possible. Trying to shrink and stop breathing. Slavia gently embraced me and rested her head on my chest. Yeah, that's better. She purred. I was unable to say anything and just lay there calmly. Very good. Thank you. For what? Slavia kept her eyes closed and seemed ready to fall asleep at any second. For being here. It's fine. 2 minutes ago, she was desperately trying to get rid of me. No, really. Then you're welcome. She said nothing, but I was sure that Slavia smiled. Contact us anytime, as they say. You're very smooth. You're so kind. You care so much. Well, I try. You're a good friend. I just noticed she has eyes. Why don't I get eyes? Friend? Well, yeah, probably. Somehow this word hit me painfully. On the other hand, there was no reason to believe that I was something more to Slavia than just a friend. What are these thoughts about anyways? You too. I just couldn't bring myself to find the right words. What's up with the you too? It's been a pleasure dealing with you. We hope for further mutual beneficial cooperation. Or, yeah, it's cool being friends with you too. Let's go and play in the sandbox. This is twice as hard to endure with Slavia lying right next to me. I can't run, I can't hide, and even without her looking me in the eyes. What eyes?! I know that she sees right through me. You're distressed by something, aren't you? No, I'm fine. But I can tell that you are. Well, maybe. Want to talk about it? Well, not really. In fact, there's nothing really to talk about. Then you don't really know why you're upset. Yeah, probably. Then why get upset in the first place? You're a horrible liar, Semyon. Slavia laughed. I guess I shouldn't. That's great. She hugged me even harder. Not cold now? I'm fine. Just tell me if you're not comfortable. No, it's okay. Like that time on the boat? Wasn't that like today? My muscles, as if remembering that rowing competition, reminded me of it with a dull ache. It's totally different. Okay. She said slyly and raised her head a bit. So, everything's fine? Yeah, perfect. I started to worry. Slavia surely wanted something from me. Wanted me to do or say something. But what? Are you sure? Yeah, probably. Well then, have a good night. You too. After a while, she fell asleep. I checked the clock out of the corner of my eye. It was only 1 AM, and that meant I still had to lie in this position until morning. Just sleep. I wasn't really concerned about my arm going numb. Just being so close to Slavia, in such a dangerous proximity, I couldn't sleep at all. Various thoughts were invading my head. Did she really consider this whole situation normal? Uh-oh. Just when I was thinking about how bad it would be if anyone found us, the door opened, the light switched on, and Olga rushed in. My heart jumped and stopped for a moment. Semyon! Started the camp leader in a diabolically calm voice. Semyon? I've been searching for you everywhere, and you escaped from the forest ahead of time. Didn't come back to the cabin to sleep, and now you're seducing our best pioneer. Ah, it's all my fault. Slavia instantly woke up. She was staring at the camp leader with sleepy eyes for a few seconds, then instantly understood what's going on and jumped from the bed. Olga, it's not what you think. I just fell ill and Semyon walked me here. And then I got cold and I told him to go to his cabin. Oh, yeah, sure. So you're sick, are you? I am, answered Slavia humbly. Ooh, we in trouble. Then you have to get treatment. She watched me menacingly. And you, get up and follow me. I understood that arguing was not an option and left the infirmary, not even looking at Slavia. We reached the square without saying a word. Olga viciously looked over at me and said, Time to go home. I need to have a serious talk with you. I felt awful the whole way. The camp leader silently followed me. I think that once again I've gotten into a stupid situation which will be perceived totally wrong by everybody. Nothing to discuss. What if I were in Olga's place? 2 teenagers cuddling in the empty infirmary at night. It's hard to come up with any apologies. The worst thing is that all of these things always happen specifically to me. I always considered myself to have an analytical mind. However, I rarely got to put it into practice. We entered the cabin, and you have an analytical mind? Meaning you take in the facts and analyze them as they are and come to the conclusion? I do not believe that in the slightest. We entered the cabin and the camp leader continued the interrogation. Would you care to explain yourself? She seemed to have calmed down a bit. At least this side of her character was appealing. She was, of course, an impulsive woman, but she also cooled down quickly. Slavia already told you everything. You expect me to believe that? You expect me to believe that you'll believe anything I say? Me to believe that you believe that you'll believe that I believe? I can't force you to believe it, but I'm not going to invent any excuses either, because it's the truth. Truth. She looked at me for some time and said, Tomorrow I'll decide what to do with you. Oh, now suddenly she looks like the regular, normal, carry sacks of sugar pioneer camp leader. The camp leader turned off the light. I rolled myself in the blanket, not even bothering to undress, and turned to face the wall. Interesting. Why does she only blame me for what happened? I guess it couldn't have been Slavia. I wasn't there alone, after all. Slavia is a role model pioneer, of course, but... No, I didn't intend to shift the blame to her. I just felt too ashamed for getting into an idiotic situation once again. Involuntarily, with no malicious thoughts, not expecting any trap. No, I'm not doing it's a trap. I could have lay there pitying myself for a long time, but fatigue overtook me, and I blanked out. What was she doing up at 1 AM? if she gets up at presumably like 6 or 7 a.m.? Slavia. I mean, day 6. I didn't sleep well. I kept waking up for a minute or two, then dropping off again. I didn't dream much, just some grotesque images, forgotten by morning. Olga woke me up. Wake up already. I rubbed my eyes open and looked at her questioningly. What time is it? Late enough. My whole body ached and my head was heavy like a bowling ball. Pull yourself together and go wash yourself up, right now. Right meow. I stood up obediently, took my toiletry bag, and went outside. I didn't want to talk to the camp leader at that moment. A lecture was clearly coming. A hard one. But I'd better put it off as much as I can. After all, I always did things this way. Trying not to fall asleep on my feet, I somehow made it to the wash basins. The cold water knocked some sense into me. Maybe I should pay Slavia a visit. I still have some time left. Just to tell her I'm sorry. On the other hand, why should I justify myself? It was her idea. And what? What did I do wrong? Besides, once again getting myself into a silly situation where all the odds are against me. I took a deep breath and went back to Olga's cabin, with the firm intention of proving my innocence, or at least showing that I will stand my ground. But the room was empty. I sat on the bed and dropped my face into my hands. I needed to come up with an excuse, now, a nice and believable excuse. If she won't believe the truth... Well, that's not surprising. If I was her, I wouldn't have believed it either. Nothing worthwhile was coming to me. I was just sitting there, gazing at the sunrise. The door swung silently open, and the camp leader came into the room. I heard that, though. Olga, I'd still like to explain to you that. No need. I looked at her, surprised. I understand everything. So you do understand it wasn't what it looked like. Why, it looked exactly like what it was. I don't want to condemn either you or Slavia. I understand everything. Puberty, hormones, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I thought she'd went and talked to Slavia or something. Oh. I sighed tiredly and laid my head down on my hands. What do I need to say to make you believe me? Nothing. I said it already. I understand everything. You don't understand a thing. I muttered under my breath. Okay, head over to the lineup. I stood up and dragged myself lazily along with her. But could I at least pay her a visit? Of course not. The camp leader looked at me with such surprise, as if my question was something completely inappropriate. I've already warned the nurse not to let you in. Well, am I allowed to know how she is at least? Well, it looks like Slavia's actually sick. What? I didn't manage to ask how serious it was, as we reached the square already. Go and take your place. I took a place next to electronic. So, what happened yesterday? News travels fast around here, he whispered to me. What are you talking about? Well, you suddenly disappeared. Alright. Well, nothing special. Telling everything to the entire camp was the last thing I wanted. After all, if even the camp leader got us wrong, then what would the others think? Though I've already started to think that it's not entirely wrong. The entire lineup consisted of a roll call and an announcement that the shower room is closed today for repair. Finally, the pioneers ran off for breakfast, chatting happily. I miserably followed them. Frankly speaking, I wasn't in the mood for eating at all. After hanging around near the canteen doors for a while, I turned around and headed away. I don't know how it turned out this way, but eventually the infirmary appeared from nowhere in front of me. Looks like my autopilot just kicked in. I stared at the door with a total loss. They won't let me in anyway. What can I do now? Should I wait for Olga's sentence, if it ever comes? Should I wait until everybody in the camp knows? And that's even worse. Wicked glances from everywhere. The alienation. For 2 more days, I know, right? That is what will happen for sure. No, I haven't done anything wrong, but in the enclosed circle of this bizarre society, such behavior would be treated, if not as a sin, then as a serious deviation for sure. And that means that I have already got nothing to lose. I knocked without any hesitation. Just a moment. I pulled the doorknob, but the door wouldn't open. It's locked. In a few moments, I heard the key turning in the keyhole, and the nurse appeared. Good morning, Pioneer. Hi, I answered confidently. Well, you know that you're not allowed here. Well, I do. But if you'd... Nah, that's not the way things work, she said playfully. A camp leader's order is an order after all. If you ask me personally, I don't find anything immoral in your behavior, but Olga... Maybe I can do something. No, you can't. I looked at her angrily, turned around, and walked away with theatrical slowness. I didn't know what to do next. I just pressed on forward, punching the trees that stood in my way. Fuck you, tree. I recovered from this burst of rage only when my hands were hurting badly, and my lips were bitten until they bled. What? Is this a thing teenage males do in Russia? Bite their lips till they bleed when they're angry? I've never heard of that. And the most interesting thing is that all my unbelievable awakening in an unknown pioneer camp has turned into the most trivial life drama. Drama as stupid as my entire existence. Yet again, I did something wrong. I thought something wrong, and they got it all wrong. Fine then, just let everything be. Nobody was near the canteen. I sighed in relief and took a place in the farthest corner, hoping that nobody would see me. Well, apparently it's empty. Somehow stuffing my breakfast in, I was about to leave already when Miku dashed up to my table. Oh, good morning, Semyon. I kind of overslept today. Can I take a place here next to you? She sat down straight away. Well, I'm kind of leaving already. Is it true that you and Slavia are like that? Well, I know, you know what I'm talking about. She stared at me closely, blinking her eyes. Who told you that? Well, one would expect the rumors to spread fast. But not that fast. I started to slowly go into rage mode. I heard it from Xenia, and she probably heard it from Cheeskov. He heard it from Olga. I don't want you to misunderstand me. It's not my business, but if you don't want me to, then don't answer. If you don't want to, then don't answer. But it's not a secret. Ugh, I can barely talk that fast. Jesus. You're right, I don't want to answer. I stood up and quickly headed towards the exit. It was a hot day. This amplified my anger, since I didn't like the heat. Fuck you, son. Right now, though, anything could drive me out of my wits. But I had to make up my mind on how to conduct myself. I didn't want to run into anyone, so I went into the forest where I could think calmly. Having stopped in a glade, I sat on a stump. This looks a lot like where we had the campfire last year. Took a stick and started to pick at the ground with it. If there's nothing that's up to me, all I can do is to simply wait. But, in fact, what can I do? Assault the infirmary? Even if I succeed, what comes next? Well, there's a window right beside Slavia's bed. Try to bring Olga to her senses? Hardly possible. Funnily enough, this whole enigma turned into a simple everyday situation. If it was happening in my world, there would be no problems at all. Come on, really, what's the problem? Even if I did sleep with the girl, who cares? What if, even if I was actually 17, even then nothing terrible would happen anyway. According to the intro to this game, everyone's 18 or older, so... It's their fault. It would be slightly more awkward, but still tolerable. And now what? I'm not the oh, today I was the oblivious one. I'm just like, what's all wrong with two people cuddling? That's what you do after. That's what it looks like. And now what? I'm not the master of my fate. Although, was I ever? Is there anything at all that was up to me in my entire life? Have I ever reached any peak that I was seeking? And now, once I've reached one, I can't hold my ground. Maybe I was just a spectator from the very beginning. Like all of you out there, well, most of you probably played this game too. That was the worst segue ever into the end of an episode, but this is the end of the episode, so thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Goodbye!